It is time to set behind us the winter of melancholy that has for so long closed upon us a thick fog of cold despair. Now we can begin to breathe a fresher, warmer air in the dawn of the rising of a new era in the history of this earth. For now is the time for justice, the time for truth. Now is the time for love. And the only way that we can live our lives that satisfies this demand for justice, for truth and for love is to live vegan, and thereby to be justice, to be truth, to be love. It may not be apparent to our feeble human senses, but the world spins ridiculously quickly on its axis, over 700 miles per hour, and flies ridiculously quickly through space, over 66,000 miles per hour. And with every hour, minute and second time hurtles forward, never pausing to wait for any of us to stand or sit idle, wondering, fumbling, pondering what to do next. Next is already happening. Time will not stop to satisfy our failure to react with urgency to what goes on around us. There is only now. There is barely now. And now is the time to be what decency demands we must be, to be the people that we should be, to reach the pinnacle of what we can be. We can, we should, we must be vegan. Only that matches the command for us to do what is good and just and merciful. To do anything less, to be anything less, to act in any other way is to be a moral failure, and that is just not good enough. To resist the impulse to act according to the simple principles of vegan living is to accede to oppression, exploitation and violence, and that is just not good enough. To reject the modest changes needed in our lives to embrace fully the ethical baseline of a vegan lifestyle is to give consent instead to the most brutal, vicious and cruel of all human practices, and that is just not good enough. It is up to us to know what must be done and then deal with it. It is down to us to know what must be done and then rise to our feet and act. There is no one else upon whom we can rely to live our lives for us, to do the decent thing, the right thing, the good thing instead of us. It is us alone. In our hearts, in our minds, in our souls, we know what is right and what is wrong, and if we choose to do what is wrong, then we have chosen ignorance and arrogance over kindness and compassion, and in that we thereby choose to fail. We remove all meaning from our lives, we squander all potential, we relinquish all responsibility for ourselves and others, and in all of that, we are a waste of the time it takes for the earth to revolve on its axis. If you are not vegan, then you live ugly. I once heard someone say, be amazing, be beautiful, be vegan. To which a common reaction may be, are you saying I'm ugly? That just because I don't do that vegan thing that I'm not beautiful? How dare you say that? But what can be said in reply? Beauty is not found on the skin or in the shape of the body, and it is not found in the use of pretty words. It is found in the entirety of being, the expression of every moment lived, from waking and rising to the close of the eyes when sleep overwhelms the body. What did you do that day? What was your intention? Did you set out to harm or set out to care? Did you do anything that would be the deliberate cause of another's suffering? How many died today because of you? Unless you make every effort, unless you make the choice to do everything that you can do and do all that is within your power, unless your every act is a conscious decision to minimize the suffering of others, taking every chance offered to let others live, unless you do all of that, then you live ugly. If you eat meat, then you live ugly. If you drink dairy, then you live ugly. If you consume eggs, then you live ugly. If you covet leather and fur, then you live ugly. If you get your thrills from hunting, then you live ugly. If you gamble on the lives of those forced to race for you and perform tricks for you, then you live ugly. If you wander and stare in zoos and aquariums, then you live ugly. If you profit from death, then you are ugly. If your job is to kill, whether on the farm, on the seas and oceans, or in the laboratory, the slaughterhouse, or the fields of sport and entertainment, or if you want others to do that killing for you in those places just so you can get what you want, then you are ugly. But who wants to live ugly? And who wants to live beautifully? These are not trivial or irrelevant questions or choices. The lives and fates of hundreds of billions, trillions even, depend upon the choices we make. The survivability of our own species depends upon the choices we make. The present and future habitability of the earth depends upon the choices we make. It is we, each of us individually, who will decide who we will be and the meaning of the life we will live. We can live vegan, and we can therefore be everything the world could ever ask of anyone. We can live beautifully, in harmony with the world around us, in balance with all other species who also share this space. And it is so simple. All we have to do is to do what is right and just and merciful and moral and decent. It is not a lot to ask, but it is a lot to do. Because to be vegan is not only a diet, it is not only a lifestyle, it is not only a moral philosophy, it is an intense, unrelenting action. It is justice made visible for all to see. It is the deepest truth made real for all to know. It is the act of love lived out for all to feel. It is the greatest act of being because it is also an act of doing. One cannot be passive and be truly vegan. One cannot be silent and yet express what it is to be vegan. One cannot sit back and yet stand up for a vegan life. One must be and one must do and one must act, and then and only then one is vegan. And we are what the world needs, and needs so badly. We are the ones who will answer when those who suffer cry out in pain and fear. We will hear that call, and we will see those tears, and we will feel their pain, and we will respond. We will demand that as the world revolves on its axis, that revolution also takes place in the heads and hearts of everyone, and revolutionary change across all the cities of the earth in the minds of every citizen. As the sun rises, it should shine upon a new dawn in the history of our kind. If the planet is to survive the onslaught of humanity, and the entirety of our time thus far tells only of violence and destruction, then there must be a new humanity whose shadow falls across the face of the waters of our world. We need a humanity that truly recognises its rightful place amongst and part of the natural world, not separate from it. Not greater or more significant or more important than non-human lives, but one aspect of the miracle of life that comes in an abundance of forms, all manner of shapes and sizes, and all of them special and immeasurably precious. This is a humanity that will recognize that all lives have the capacity to feel, to suffer, to hurt, and also to care and to love. And it is love that we will share in abundance with all of those other lives, as our life is abandoned to, is given over to the wonder and the beauty of love and the overwhelming power of compassion and kindness that brings to us and gives to others a richness unparalleled and unmatched by any that mere worldly goods or possessions could possibly hope to offer or deliver. It is love that distinguishes the just from the unjust. It is love that divides the merciful from the cruel. And it is love that separates good from evil. When we allow love to flow freely through our every word and deed, it is then that we achieve the zenith of our life's ambition. For what is the value of our life if we remain wedded to causing harm and misery? What is the purpose of our days and nights if we stay stuck in a regimen of violence and destruction? What future hope can there possibly be if our hands are bloodied with the ripped remains of billions needlessly murdered? Unless we unchain ourselves from the vicious cycle of cruelty and killing, our hours spent in pursuit of death, our lives sustained only by the screams of the innocent, then there is no hope for a future earth in which we play a part. Right now, our world is a world of hurt, and so many cry tears of pain. Our world ends unless we change. Truth and justice and love demand a response from all of us, and each of us must now choose the answer that we will give. So now is the time for a new world. Now is the time for the boldest and most beautiful and most peaceful of all revolutions. A revolt driven by love, motivated by justice and born of truth. A revolution of love that embraces the lives of all who live around us. Whether they creep or swim or fly, all are valued, all are cherished, all are loved. Only by being vegan can we raise ourselves to the highest standards of justice and compassion. And only by living vegan can we truly offer peace and sanctuary to everyone who needs shelter and protection. And only through the act of vegan love do we create a world of hope and opportunity for all whose hearts beat through the miracle of life. To be vegan is to be the essence of justice and truth and love. Everyone on earth can live well if we think well and we act well. If we are vegan, we make paradise possible and consign to the past all the iniquities and cruelties that have stained in blood the days of human domination. We need dominate no more, but live and thrive side by side with our fellow creatures who also call this world their home. Perfection is within reach. We can scale the highest mountain, and we can look down upon a land of promise and abundance, full measures given each to each, for their lives to be lived freely and safely, no one any longer under the brutal hand of oppression and exploitation, under threat of imminent destruction, but all protected by the common recognition of the value and sanctity of all lives. It is in our power. We don't have to just dream it. We can do it. We can make it real. We can make it now. So let us dare to be amazing. Let us desire to be beautiful. Let us be vegan.